it's Myles here at Tactical Hyve, and today I want to cover a very popular question. A lot of people are now shooting more red dots out there, and for a lot of newer shooters, it's very hard for them to pick up the red dot. Now, there's a lot of different methods out there, and so in this video, I want to share 3 of the most common ways you can pick up a pistol with a red dot and find your red dot consistently. So if you're interested, make sure to stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So I'm going to share 3 very popular techniques out there that are going to help you find your red dot. And these are going to be techniques, meaning you're going to find the one that works best for you. These are just very common ones that are out there. I will say this, either of the 3 techniques that I share with you, there are pros and cons, and also you're going to get good at whichever one you pick. So over time, if you keep on practicing it, yes, you are going to be able to be just as fast as someone else who uses the other techniques. Now, it does not necessarily mean that one technique won't be better for you or worse for you. You have to try them all out. So if you're used to one technique and you've never tried the other 2, you'll never know. So if you do want to be thorough, try them all. For me, I will share which technique I've defaulted to, and it's because I've tried all 3 techniques. Also, one last thing, there are other variations out there. These are just the 3 major ones. So the first one is going to be aligned with what we showed in our pistol marksmanship series. And kind of the idea is, if you have your hands together and you've locked your wrists, okay, and you work in reverse. So I'm on target with my red dot here, okay? I'm going to point the gun at you. I'm on target with my red dot here, and I lock my wrists. I don't change anything. I just bring my elbows in. Over time, I will understand this sensation, the feeling of my hands, the grip, the wrist angle that I have, and all I have to do is, if I do not change anything with my wrist angle and I just punch out, my dot will be exactly where it's supposed to be if you start in reverse. So again, I'm starting with my dot on you in the camera, I lock everything, and I'm just bringing my elbow in. And the reason why that works is because eventually when you draw, it doesn't matter from concealed, wherever it is, you're going to meet your hands. And when your hands meet, you already know that feeling that you have experienced every single time you've punched out this way. And this is the method I prefer because it is a straight line. So technically speaking, it should be faster than any of the other methods I'm going to share with you, because if you look on this angle here, it's traveling in a straight 45-degree line, more or less 45-degree line. So that is one method. Start in reverse here. I'm on target. This works perfectly for iron sights as well. So I'm on target, lock everything, do not change the geometry of anything, and just bring your elbows in. Then ultimately, when you draw and meet your hands, it's going to be the same position. So when you punch out, the red dot will be exactly where you want it to be. So that's method 1. All right, I'm going to discuss method 2, and this is very common out there, particularly with competitive shooters, but you'll see it everywhere. And it's a little different. It's very subtle. So I'm going to use you as a target again. So we're not going to start in reverse, but notice where I'm aiming at you, okay? My dot is right at the center of the lens here, okay? So this is where I want to be. Now, what's going to happen with this method is I will punch out, okay? I'm going to present the same way that I would in the original method or the first method, but I straighten my arms to about here. So it's not lined up with the camera yet. Then it comes up. So the motion of the gun, the first one, it was kind of like this, straight, and it just lined up with my vision. The second one is it becomes straight, a little bit lower than my point of aim, and then I raise it up. So it kind of looks like this from the side angle here. I straighten up and then come up. So if you pay attention to a lot of videos, you're going to see this. There's a lot of shooters who use this method, particularly, again, competitive shooters. So you punch out and come up. The reason being is now this window is higher than the barrel, right? So you're going to see the dot before anything else. And some people will say that it's much easier. Again, pros and cons. This could add some time to your shots. Negligible, most likely, if we practice it a lot. But the idea now is I'm no longer traveling in that straight line like the first method. I'm going straight and then up so I can catch my red dot. So that is a second method that you can explore. And now let's dive into the third method. Before we get to the third method, some of you might think that that first method kind of looks like the whole bowling thing. Yeah, people say when you punch your gun out, you don't want to bowl, and that's very true. You don't want to do any of that, or you don't want to fish. You're not coming down on this. And that's absolutely correct. But it is not, don't think of it as bowling, because we're just pushing out and then the slight lift. Okay, so in our instructor program, we call that a hybrid presentation, right? Now, this third one is another hybrid presentation. Now, there could be formal names out there, but we just call it a hybrid presentation. Now, this one is going to look like fishing, but it isn't. So there's little details. So this third method is where you may have heard people say track the sight, iron sight. Now, this is good for actually iron sight shooters, but the technique now has moved to red dots. So in the competitive space, people who want to shoot fast with the iron sight, they will have the iron sight lined up with their target, just like I am with you right now. The front sight lined up, and then they punch forward. So it is no longer, the presentation's a little different because it kind of looks like fishing. You kind of see that. I'm kind of exaggerating, where the front sight's here and I'm kind of bringing it down. So it's not really bad like that, but it kind of looks like that. So with the draw, you'll see some people do this. They will bring it up, and this is why it looks like fishing, because the front sight will line up with their eyes and then they punch it out like that. So when you kind of see this, it kind of looks like fishing, right? The idea, again, you're my target here. Now let's focus on the red dot. I line up my front sight or the tip of my gun with my target. So I'm presenting, I'm drawing, my hands are together, they're lined up, and now I am going to punch straight out and my dot will line up with my vision. And you're going to have to experiment with this a little bit, because at a certain point, at the very end, you're going to have to torque your wrist forward to get that dot, to ensure you find that dot. But that is a very valid third method. Now, some will say the third method is the slowest because of the movements are a little bit different and the tendency to chop down, there's more movement there than versus the one coming up or straight. Once again, though, if you do it a lot, you will get fast. However, I've never done all of those three the same in terms of the same amount of reps, but let's just give it a try. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a shot down range there, nothing in particular, but I'm going to wait for my dot to be steady and then I'll break the shot. I'm going to use all three methods. Now, this is not scientific. Remember, I haven't not given all three a fair share of repetitions, but let's just explore how long it takes to get off that first shot down range. And I'm just going to be shooting something far over there, maybe a rock or something, but I'm going to aim at the same spot every single time, and we'll just get the time differences. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot a zero target down range. Obviously, I'm not doing this for accuracy or anything like that. It's just my reference point, and I'm going to time each one. I have a timer here. I'm going to see if there's any major differences. So I'm going to use the first method right now. So I'm just going to punch straight out, and we're just going to go from here. So there's no effects from the draw. Maybe I fumbled the draw or something like that. Okay, so on the buzzer. Okay, so that was a 114. 114. So now I'm going to kind of present and kind of come up at the very end. Okay. That was a 111. 111. And now I'm going to do the third method, which can look like I'm fishing. Okay. That was a 114 as well. So either one of those is, you can't really say there's a big difference at all. Now remember, I don't use either one equally as much. Again, there's some variables here. It's not scientific. But overall, practically speaking, they're all pretty much the same. And if you do more and more and more and more, you're going to get as fast. So which method should you use? Try them all and see which comes more natural to you. I do feel that if you are very new to the red dot, or maybe just shooting in general, having the front sight or the muzzle might be easier for you. The reason being is you can track it while you're moving forward. Whereas the other two methods, you don't really see anything until it gets really close to your point of aim. At least with that third method, you can start tracking the front sight or the muzzle as you're presenting. I personally don't do that, but I think that that's something that for beginners probably might be the easiest one. But again, just experiment with all three of those. So I hope this video helps you out in finding your red dot if you're new to shooting with red dots. It is the future. I mean, it is now. Everyone is transitioning to red dots. And if you are still shooting iron sights, there's nothing wrong with it, but also explore red dots. You should, because if you hear people say that they're slower with red dots, so on and so forth, it's usually one or two reasons. One, they haven't practiced as much as they have with irons, or two, they actually have vision problem. Those are two very valid reasons why you might be slower with a red dot. But I definitely would explore it. If you feel that you are not finding a red dot, these three techniques will help, but like anything, you need to put in the practice. So like I said, I hope this video helps you out. Don't forget to subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you like the button, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. See you guys next time.